Hello and welcome to BizNation, your home for micro and small business help. Join us as we unpack all the pain points in starting or running your small business. If you're looking for support in business, join us on Facebook, Micro and Small Business Support Group. Your hosts, Kerry Zarb and Adriana Slattery, will bring you discussions, interviews, and many hints and tips to get you all set in your business. So sit back and enjoy as we launch into today's episode.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to BizNation. So for the few listeners that are out there, I've got a really interesting episode today. I'm delighted to announce that my first guest, Adriana Slattery, is now joining us as our wonderful co-host. Yay, the crowd goes wild. You no longer have to listen to me just rambling to the walls who rudely don't answer. I can now truly embrace this podcasting journey with Adriana by my side and make this so much more amazing and so much more interesting. And I'm so excited. Welcome back, Adriana.
Thank you so much. I had such a great fun time last week that I decided to stick around. So yeah, I'm really excited to be able to bring what I've experienced so far in business to the podcast.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. And listen, I really appreciate you and your contribution. It was an awesome episode last week and it was great chatting with you. I think we've just naturally and organically, found that great combination together. We're both passionate about small business and what we can do to support those in small business, and getting to know each other in this short amount of time. I think, we're just both on the same page, which is awesome.
Yeah, you really couldn't get us off the phone when we
I know.
were having a good chat together about some ideas moving forward. So I think that, we'll definitely be able to navigate through this podcast journey together, but also just through coming back after restrictions lift for COVID and, just getting into all these other different questions that I know a lot of small businesses have. To, I guess, making their business bigger and better and scale it, and that sort of thing too.
Definitely.
So I just really wanted to start with a little topic that I've actually experienced recently, and that's pivoting in business. I think it's really important to look at a pivot as not a negative thing when it comes to your business. And I used to look at it and think, I was failing all the time. That I would come up with something new, had a little bit of a different shift in the business, and then all of a sudden I felt like I wasn't achieving the goal that I first set out to achieve, and then I would feel like a bit of a failure for not achieving it. So I would love to pick your brain a little bit, Kerry, about pivoting in business.
Yeah, listen, it's a really hot topic at the moment. I think it's something that many small businesses are talking about or thinking about. I actually think there's a massive amount of businesses out there still thinking in that space. And I think it's really one of those things, like you say, we often, critique ourselves so much, and we've got this massive spotlight on ourselves about, our business direction and where we started and the goals and the targets and all those things that we wanted to achieve in business. And then sometimes you reach that point, like particularly a lot of businesses would be at the moment with COVID, like taking another direction, moving in a different way. And sometimes it's completely different to where you started and like we said, where you want to go with your business. But you just got to do it. And I just think, too many people probably overthink it. Don't you agree? Like,
Definitely. Look, it stopped me from doing things that I actually really wanted to do, because I also used to think about what would other people say, because a lot of people know me locally as a fitness business owner. So then when I started to move into something slightly different, I had kids, my needs changed. I changed, my goals changed as a person. So my why changed. And I think this is really important as well, to think about why you're in business in the first place. Everyone, I think, goes into business wanting flexibility.
Yep.
wanting to be able to provide more for their family.
Definitely.
Yeah, and to be able to really challenge themselves, but also make more money. Like, I think in this smaller amount of time, the busier I get, the less time I have to fluff around.
Yes.
And when I had children, I really sat down and thought, well, I'm going to need to figure this out, because not only now do I have to provide for myself, but I've got to provide one day for these kids. And I very fortunately grew up in a family in small business who they actually did quite well, my parents. So they provided a lot for me moving forward. So I did really have to think about, if I was to pivot again, where was I actually going? What was my why? But also think about the opportunities that were around me, and to think about this pivot as a new opportunity rather than thinking of it as a failure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And something you said just before really resonated with me, about, what others think of us. Like, if you begin your business as, and I'll just grab a particular industry, say you started as a tradie, you're on the tools, and, you're out there on the job site and that type of thing. But, things happen. Life changes, priorities change. And I think as business owners, we just need to be completely open to that flexibility, and not, I guess, focus on what other people think, and really, search within. It's really about how you feel about what you're doing. If you wanted to go from being a bricklayer to, being an accountant, like, there's nothing wrong with that, and yes, your friends may know you as the bricklayer, and then they might be going, oh, hang on, now you're putting on a suit. What the hell happened there? But it doesn't matter. Like, what everyone else thinks is the last thing that should be at the forefront of our minds. I really think it's just about expanding, exploring, looking at the options. For a tradesperson to be on the tools for 30, 40 years, like, it's got to be a killer on their body, the physical side, and having that really impact their lives could be huge. So, and quite the opposite. I actually know someone recently that went from being a real estate agent to actually being a carpenter. So he went the opposite direction. He went from being in the 9-to-5 business suit, tie, all that kind of stuff. And now he puts on the tool belt and he gets out there and he does, small renovations and things like that. And he's loving it. Getting out of the office, he's found his why, and he didn't go in with a full-blown business plan and proposal. Like, he'd already done all that younger in life, and he just literally went, you know what, I love carpentry. He started doing some little DIY jobs, and next minute, he's got all these, people coming to him saying, oh, hey, how would I build a deck? And, oh, what about a new letterbox? And, I was thinking about putting in a pergola and that type of thing. And he's really hit his stride. He's awesome. He's loving it, and he's taken off the suit. So it's the complete opposite. Yeah.
How is that?
Yeah.
When I hear stories about people pushing, their limiting beliefs and breaking through them, and doing something new, it gives me goosebumps, actually, because
It does. It really does. I know.
People finding their why.
Yeah.
There's some people that die never finding their why.
Oh, definitely. And how many times do you hear of stories and you just know of people that have, worked their entire life. They've been an employee their entire life, and they've, always had that little kind of twinkle in their eye for something that they wanted to do, but they maybe were a little bit scared of taking the risk and taking the plunge, and, they didn't do it. And yeah, like, I couldn't imagine, going through a phase later in life where I regretted not actually having a go. So
yeah, and that actually inspired me. So I think when we first started talking, I was like 1 week maybe out from launching the business.
yes.
I was a week into it. So I having a chat to you about your past experiences and actually just having a go at it, or just thinking about being in that position, and it's almost like the pain of not making the change and the pain of staying stagnant, or that fear of staying stagnant, would just crumble me eventually anyway if I didn't actually get out there and do something about it.
Yeah, exactly. And that leads to another great point. Like at the moment, particularly, with COVID and stuff, there's a lot of talk in, social chat groups and that type of thing about, um, entrepreneurs out there going, well, I've had all this time, I've come up with a great idea, this is what I love, this is what I want to do. Now, you've actually done that. You have launched your business during COVID. So what did that look like? How did you make that step? Like there must have been so many elements of fear in the back of your mind.
There still is. It's a daily occurrence. I have a very, very strong why, and that does definitely fuels me every day. But there's a couple of things I've had to implement to be able to turn that chatter off, and that negative chatter especially. It can fuel me, but it also drains me. So I make sure that I know my homework, and I've been spending a lot of time learning and planning. But I thought this was a better time than ever to actually just get out there and launch it. Start talking the talk, start using a different vocabulary, start getting my face out there, start letting people know what it is that I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I just sort of thought that it was it's a daily feel the fear and do it anyway kind of experience. Have you read that book?
No, I haven't. No.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I actually had it on audio, and in the car, any kind of minute that I had spare, it was on. So it's really just about the fear's there anyway, regardless of whether you choose to go with it or not.
Definitely.
It's about sitting in that moment, feeling that fear, but then not being crippled by it. And
Yes.
just doing and taking action and doing the things that you need to do to progress through it. And it really useful for me. And like I've said, I feel the fear anyway, but I've just said to myself, well, just the heck with it now.
Yeah.
I'm going to allow it to just cripple me and not move forward with what I want to do.
Yeah, definitely. I can relate to that. Like for me, it was quite a few years ago when I launched my business, and I'd had businesses in the past as well. But best thing I ever did, just making that step. And, there's going to be hurdles, there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be challenging times, but those awesome times, just smash them. Like they're just, absolutely kill it. Like you forget the really bad times, and not that you forget, because we all need to learn, and as things go wrong, you pull out the pieces of information that you need to grow and develop and keep with you. They're a good memory to keep when things go wrong, but at the same time, the good things, I think, in business actually outweigh the bad things. So good on you for giving that a go in such an unusual time. Like there must be so many people out there at the moment that are thinking it and wanting to do it, and they're probably, too many of them are probably listening to the other side of, everyone saying, no, it's the worst time, don't do it now, are you crazy, kind of thing. So yeah, hats off to you, Adriana, for giving that a go, especially during COVID and yeah, putting it out there. I think that's what it's all about.
There's a couple of things, I see it as opportunities, like I mentioned earlier, and I took those opportunities, and I've come through it thinking that if I can make it work in an adverse time, then it's going to pay off for me when everything is working well.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially with property, everything is doom and gloom at the moment if you're listening to the media.
Yep.
But the reality is on the floor. There are buyers out there. I went out to about 5 inspections last Saturday. I was waiting in line for about 15 minutes. It was like standing in line getting into a nightclub.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah. And you wouldn't know that if you weren't seeing it and breathing it and experiencing it.
No, well, I can relate to that because, like, I probably stayed home, as they said, if you can stay home, do stay home. And I did that for many weeks before I even had to actually leave the house for something, because online shopping is amazing. So that's what you do. And when I actually left the house, I think it was a weekday and it was probably, early afternoon, I was driving down the street and I'm like, where are all these cars coming from? Where's everybody going? What? Hang on, life's still out there, like I couldn't believe it. So I can only imagine what the property market probably is much the same. Is it the same as what it was before? Do you think that it's, kind of moved in a similar direction, or?
It's definitely on the way up. I mean, like I said, I've only launched about a month ago, but to be waiting in line in these times, I thought was a bit. It was a shock to me. It came as a surprise.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that there was an element of social distancing involved in that?
100%. Yeah, there were only so many people that were allowed in the house at one time.
Yeah.
But there were about 15 groups in one of the houses I went to inspect. 15 different groups were walking through.
Wow.
So they're in different parts of the house, front yard, backyard, obviously.
Yeah.
The house as well. And then the rest of them were all in line. But the line was getting longer. So I actually rocked up there about 5 minutes early. So there would have been about half an hour there to accumulate more buyers. Yeah.
Awesome. So let me ask you this. I guess, in your opinion, because you've done it now, you took the step, you made the leap, you took the leap of faith. When is the right time to launch?
I think the right time to launch is when you're 80% there. Yeah, it's definitely not about sitting in that planning phase, perfecting everything before you let the world know about what you've actually been doing. It's about allowing natural progression to take place and getting feedback from the conversations that you have with people. You're not going to get that feedback and be able to pivot or be able to perfect what you've got until you are out there, until you've felt the fear, you've done it anyway, you're doing it on a day-to-day, you're having conversations with people, you're getting that feedback, and then you're making it up as you go along based on the feedback that you get. So
and it's funny because I read so many, people's comments about don't launch during COVID, and, little people that obviously everyone had time to work on their business plans and their whys and all of their dreams and goals and that type of thing. I thought it was a great time. I thought it was a perfect time because everyone's out there, like everyone's online, everyone's looking across their social media probably more than ever. And I'm sure the marketplace of advertising on social media was off the charts. I don't have exact stats on it, but I thought it was a good time. It just seemed like a good time to me because you've had time to actually plan your launch. But you made a really good point, 80%, you don't have to reach perfection before you go for it. It's not about having to have everything perfect, because the biggest part of being in business is learning on the fly and learning as we go. So, yeah.
That's got to be my biggest lesson learned, though. When you have, I like having myself seen in a good light, and I like to control that as much as I can. I don't want to sound like a goose going out into a new profession, and I am the little guy so far. Like I haven't been in the industry for 20 odd years buying property. I've only, I've been working with a handful of clients, but with every conversation I have, the more I learn, the more I'm open up to it. So it's really, I think, been a mindset shift for me moving forward. And I would like to share a book that I've read recently, Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it's a really actionable, it goes a little bit deeper than just goal setting, because goals without an action plan is just like, sitting there hoping, crossing your fingers, hoping that it all happens. But what he teaches you in this book is to actually and it's been transferable as a skill from the fitness industry into launching a business, that you have a big hairy goal, and that's okay, and you can use the SMART method to sort of break those goals down, but it's about putting in place routine and habit every day. And if those things get ticked off your list, then it will eventuate to this big hairy goal at the end of the day.
Definitely.
Breaking it down, the numbers are there, the stats are there, and you're doing habitual things.
Yep.
You don't have to decide new things as you go along. You're not making side steps either. Every decision you make is moving you forward.
Definitely. I think that's why they say people in the army, they make their bed. That's the first thing they do in the army, and a lot of the armed services is they actually get them to make their bed. And there's some kind of mentality behind that, of having that first thing that you do be something that you've accomplished, something that you've achieved. So yeah, I've heard of that. I haven't really dived deep into it. I jump out of bed and jump straight in the shower because I just want to get going. So that's me, full of energy first thing in the morning. But everyone's got something different, and I think it's, you know, you need to find the right thing that works for you as an individual. So
it's a morning routine, isn't it? It's
yeah.
You know, I always find that when I first became a mum, that was such a big shock to me, because there were things that I used to just let go. Like I'd let the cleaning up or the washing up kind of go for a few days before, you know, I was totally onto it. And when you're a mum, you're thinking, well, the last thing that I want is to be up in the middle of the night tripping over clothes. So I find that when my home and my house is clear and clean and neat and tidy and not full of clutter, that my mind is the same.
Yeah.
Almost like cleaning out your bag. When you look at the bag and you think all these random things are in it, it's like clearing the mind out too, you know, getting out there and throwing away what needs to be thrown and just decluttering.
Yeah, decluttering, taking away that chaos, you know, I think, yeah, it all helps. Definitely clear the mind for sure. Cool. So another thing I wanted to talk about today, which is probably similar to the topic that we're talking about, is leads in business. I think I had an episode a couple of episodes ago. I had an episode about, you know, finding clients and generating leads in business, but I think there's so much more to it. It's a massive space, and I think a lot of people need to know and hear it from you, Adriana, because you're fresh in that space. So, you know, where do you get your leads from? Where do they come from?
I'm living and breathing it at the moment. So I've spent so much time and money, even with a business coach, going in and nutting out my wine, nutting out my 10-year plan, got my 5-year plan, got my 12-month plan. I've got all my sales targets and everything's a budget's even done, even without any, you know, return on investment when I first started. But I was all pre-planned, right? That's the issue with perfectionism that I have. But I now was kind of sitting down going, well, I've made all these assets to the business. It's a completely remote style business. I live the laptop lifestyle, but now what? Like, how do I leverage what I have, my inner circle, and actually start conversations? And that's what it's about. It's about starting conversations with people that have the need that I can fulfill.
Yep. Definitely. I think it's a valid thing that you say there, because a lot of people in business forget the conversations. It's such an easy thing, and they might even be doing it and not even realizing that they are. You know, a lot of people probably, you know, hit a bit of a rough patch, which many would have at the moment with the stupid COVID-19. But I think, you know, having those conversations and, you know, reaching out and just chatting with people, that a lot of people, you know, that, you know, may not know what you do in your business. So having those conversations has got to be huge. And I talk to everyone, anyone, everyone. I don't even care, and I don't even think about it. I just do it, you know, it just happens.
Yep. Well, when you've got that strong why, you're leveraging the inner circle that you do have, and start tracking some conversations that are actually happening. This should motivate you to keep going and naturally progress the next week. And that's what I found. Like, I like to go really big in right from the start, and then I don't want a couple of weeks down the track or a month down the track thinking, well, I've overcommitted to everything, and then I'll just stop.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing that I'm aware of right now, is just making sure that whatever I do today, I do a little bit more tomorrow.
Yep.
So if I've talked to 3 people today, then tomorrow I'll try and talk to 4.
Yep.
And just get used to that before this is what we'll do. We'll naturally progress anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. And are you documenting these conversations? Do you have like a little system that you use? Is it like something basic like an Excel, or is it?
Yeah, I've got an Excel spreadsheet, and I've got it up on my homepage. So it's the first thing I click onto. I've created this real morning routine so that I don't think about it. It just gets done. So there's a couple of things that I track. My website, analytics through Google Analytics. I have a look at who's been on in the last 24 hours and what's been going on and what the trend is.
Yeah.
I then track. I get up and I jump onto Facebook. A lot of people on Facebook, and I start inviting friends and start having conversations with the people that do accept the invite. What I'm doing there is actually increasing the audience, so that the value content that I am delivering through social media is reaching more people.
Yeah.
So that's one of the strategies that I've been using to help launch my business organically.
Yeah, awesome. So you're not paying for any advertising. You're just doing everything by connections, communications, and just keeping a very close eye on how you're going about this in a positive way, but also a precise way by the sound of it.
Yeah, there's a couple of things I'm doing. I'm looking at business to business relationships. So in COVID, I think people have had a little bit more time to be more open to new launching businesses, especially those who are using the social media space and platforms. And I have had a couple of really good deals come through, and I'm looking at making that prosperous. So that's one thing. Hopefully that will in turn bring referrals.
Yeah.
Through. So that's something that's real farming type of leads. So it's a long-winded type of thing, but the people that I've chosen to work with are very reputable in my area, and they have leverage and they have weight to what they say. The other thing is that I have been going in organically, and like I said, tracking these conversations I'm having, and delivering some free content to these people that I know would appreciate or learn something from what I can teach them.
Yeah.
And the reason why I haven't started paid ads yet is because I want to make that organic attraction and offer work correctly first. And I think I'm going to sit here for probably another 6 to 12 weeks and wait for those sales to sort of actually happen before I know, and before I start throwing a lot of money into something that may not work.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think the other part of that as well is you want to see the results, like you're
validating.
Yeah, you're doing things now, and you need to, it's kind of like, I know it's really sad to mention, but it's like watching the COVID numbers, as the restrictions lift, and then we see the result of those lifted restrictions. It's the same thing with your approach to, your organic marketing and those conversations. You need to wait a little bit of time to see the results from that hard work, because if you threw in paid ads now, it would all be morphed. You probably wouldn't actually be able to track exactly where the leads are coming from. And I know that dives into a whole nother conversation of, ROI and lead generation and all that kind of stuff. But it's a really valid point, because, doing things organically at the start, you're really testing all the waters and finding out a lot more. You're, still learning your business and, how the direction that you want to take. So yeah, it sounds like a really good approach to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a conversation for another day. Like another podcast could go right into the depths of this, but
Massive.
I've invested a lot,
Mm.
and I think I've gotten to a point of no return. I've gotten to a point where I just have to make it work.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, this has been great. I've really enjoyed our little first co-host show together and having a bit of a chat about pivoting and launching, and we almost stepped into the whole full-on lead generation and marketing funnel there, but we'll probably like you say, save a lot of things for another time. There's so many more episodes to come and so much more that we can chat about together. I think you and I are, like I said at the start of the show, we're on the same path. We're like-minded people, and we're joined together, and I'm excited. This is great. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. And I'm excited to be able to bring what I've learnt so far to the listeners to the podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, Adriana. See ya.
No problem. See you later.
Thanks for tuning in to the BizNation podcast, your home for small business help. If you're looking for support in business, join us on Facebook, Micro and Small Business Support Group. You can find the link on our website, biznation.com.au. Tune into future episodes for more discussions, interviews, and many hints and tips to get you all set in your business. Until next time, stay safe, stay well.